Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial on making a whole table with a drawer. First thing I do when I open up a new Fusion page is I'm going to go and save this file, and I'm going to call it whole table with drawer, and I'm going to click save. I'm going to go over to my help icon here, click on it, click on support diagnostics, graphics diagnostic, and make sure that I have a tick in the limit effect to optimize performance checkbox. Then I can close that. Come over to my grid and snaps selection and make sure that I've got a tick in layout grid, a tick in layout grid lock, no tick in snap to grid, and no tick in incremental move. Click anywhere to close that. Then I want to make sure that my window is maximized. So up the top here, if I have a square on a square, it means it's maximized. That's what I want. If I just have a single square, I need to maximize it by clicking on that single square. There we go. Great. Okay, so before I start, I think I'll set up some parameters. Now you may not have that parameter icon up here. If you don't have it, you need to click on the word modify, go down to where it says change parameters, and click on the three little dots next to it and put a tick in pin to toolbar. Then we're going to click on the change parameters icon and click on the plus sign, and in name enter leg length. The unit should be millimeters, and the expression, we're going to make that 680. Okay. We're going to do it again for side rail. We're going to call it side rail. Now, when we do these, we can't have spaces between the words. And the expression for the side rail, for starters, will be 260. We'll do back rail, and that will be 700. And we're going to do front rail. Oh no, no, we're not. We're going to do draw front. Draw front, that for now will be 300. And lastly, we're going to do front rail. And the expression for front rail is going to be, we're going to open up some parentheses, start typing in back, and we already get back rail, we select it, minus draw front, DR, and there we go, we can select that, minus 4, close parentheses, divided by 2, and click OK. Now what we've just done here with the parameters is we've set up a table so that we can easily go in later on and modify the dimensions of our table, width, depth, draw size, and later on we're going to go in and put a few more things in there. Just haven't thought about them yet. Click OK. Cool. Alright, right click on the top level of the hierarchy, new component. On component, click once, click again, and this component is going to be called leg. Enter. Now in the component we're going to create a new sketch, and it's going to be on the bottom plane, just there. We're going to get a rectangle. Now some people like to draw right on the center. At the moment I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to draw anywhere. I'm just going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to move it. My finger is not on the button, I'm just moving it, and now I'm going to type in 45, tab, 45, enter, and that's it. I'm going to stop my sketch, and now I'm going to extrude that down to a distance of negative leg length. going to create a new body, and that's OK. Then I'm going to fit to view and zoom out a little bit. Alright, so just a word on using the mouse to zoom and pan and all, but when I have an object, I can zoom in and out with my mouse wheel, and it zooms in and out around where my cursor is. I can pan by pressing my mouse wheel and moving my mouse, and I can orbit by holding down Shift, pressing down my mouse wheel and holding it, and moving my mouse. That's called orbiting. Alright, now I've orbited a fair bit. I can't remember what's up and down and left and right. So I bring my cursor over to the view cube on the top right, and when I get close, I get a symbol of a house. That's my home view. I click on it, and now I'm back to my home view. Excellent. Okay, that's the leg for the time being. I'm going to go and right click on the top level, new component, and that component is going to be called rails. Alright, so now I'm going to create a new sketch on the side of that leg. So I'm just going to zoom in on the side of that leg. That's where my new sketch is going to be. Get my rectangle tool, draw a rectangle which is going to be 90, tab, 19, enter. Now that's not where I want it to be. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my midpoint constraint over here. Click once. Now the midpoint constraint is selected because it's blue. Select the top of that rectangle and select the top of the leg. Click escape. Now that sketch is constrained to the top and center of the leg. Stop sketch. Now when you stop sketch, if you don't get that view, you just got to go to the home. Right. Now we're going to extrude that rail. Now this is my side rail. I could put a number in there, but I'm going to put in side rail instead. Operation is new body. Click OK. I'm going to create a new sketch, and it's going to be on this side of the leg, that side, and do exactly the same thing. Rectangle, and this time I'm going to get my sketch dimension tool. If you don't have it there, you've got to go sketch, click on these little dots here and pin to toolbar. So I'm going to sketch the top of that, dimension the top of that is 19, enter, and the side is 90, enter. Click escape to exit the sketch dimension tool. Midpoint, center, center, stop sketch. Extrude this rectangle. That distance, now this distance is going to be back rail. New body, OK. How's that? Looking pretty good. Alright, now I'm not going to be drawing a new side rail and 4 more legs. I'm just going to use the ones that I've already got. To do that, I need to mirror, let's just say, this rail around the middle of that rail. So this one is mirrored over to here. When we mirror something, we need to create a plane or use a plane that it mirrors around. I don't have a plane in the middle of that rail, so I need to select it. Now I know, just from experience, that when I create that mid-plane, I need to select the end of the rail, this end of the rail, and the other end of the rail. It's going to be a bit hard for me to select that rail because I've got the leg there. So I want to just get rid of that leg temporarily. I go over to my rails component, right-click, and go isolate. And now everything except the rails component has disappeared. It's still there, but we just can't see it for the time being. Alright, rails is still active, which is good. I go construct, mid-plane, and over here it's telling me to select my planes. So I select that plane, and I'm going to orbit around, and this plane. And there is my mid-plane. Now, do I like it? By the way, this is showing me that I've selected 2 planes already. Yeah, I do. Let's go home. There's my mid-plane. I'm going to do another one around here. So instead of going construct midplane, I just right click and go repeat midplane. I'm going to select that one, and we can see I've already selected one, that's that. Orbit around to this one. And there's my midplane. Yes, I like it. Home. Now I'm going to mirror this plane, this body around that plane. So I'm going to go create, mirror. I don't want to mirror faces, I want to mirror a body. Okay, all the mirroring that we're doing in this tutorial is bodies only. So I'm going to select, it's asking me to select the object is that. And now it's asking me, well, I've selected it, I'm only doing one. Now I'm going to select the mirror plane, and the mirror plane is this one. Is that what I want? Yes, it is. I click OK. Excellent. All right, well, I've got my planes. I'm not going to do rails. I'm not going to do the front rail yet because I'm not ready for that. I'm going to do my legs. So I can't see the legs. I'm going to go onto rails, right click, unisolate. And there's my leg. Now I want the legs to remain in the leg component, so I activate the leg component. And I'm going to create mirror, bodies, it's already selected, which is great. I'm going to select my leg, there we go. And the mirror plane, now I'm going to select the mirror plane, and it's this one. Now if I just click anywhere here, I could be selecting the mirror plane, but I could also be selecting any plane on that rail, any face on that rail, which is not what I want. So to make it unambiguous, I'm going to zoom right in and make sure that I'm selecting this little triangle here. That way it's only the plane, it can't be part of the rail. So I'm going to click here on the plane and just zoom out a little. There we go, we've done it. OK. Right click, repeat mirror. Body pattern type is bodies. It's asking me to select the object. So now I'm going to select that one and that one. The mirror plane I'm going to select, and it's going to be this big one here. That's easy to select. There we go. OK. Alright, so that's looking good. If I go and activate this top level and click out, we can see that that's looking pretty good. Now, what I really want is for these legs to be tapered. I didn't do it before, and I don't want to go and taper all of my legs individually now. I want to just do the one that I started with and copy that around. Now it was this one that I started with. So I want to taper the outside planes of that leg. So I'm going to spin this around so I'm looking at the outside planes. There we go. And I want my the feature of the taper to be in the legs component. So I'm going to activate that one. And I want to put in that taper before I mirrored the legs, when I only had the one leg. So I'm going to go back to here and then put the taper in. Okay, so there I am. I've gone back in time to before I mirrored the legs, and I'm going to go modify, draft. I'm going to select the plane. Now let's not select that plane, let's select the top of the leg, that plane. There we go. And the faces, I'm going to select that one and that one. Alright, the angle we're going to make it 1.5 because I think that's pretty good. Oh, it's gone the wrong way. So instead of doing negative 1.5, which would also work, I can just flip direction and it goes in. Direction is one-sided, and OK.